According to Tuesday, January 14th spoilers for The Young and the Restless, YNR, Genoa City is about to experience a major setback. To begin with, it appears that Ian Ward's, Ray Wise, intentions for Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, will go horribly wrong. Desperate to escape, poor Sharon is currently locked up somewhere in a sewage basement. Does she have any chance of escaping or being rescued because her food and water supplies are running low? Will Ian discover Sharon is still alive and take matters into his own hands because he seems to think she is already dead? Across town, according to YNR previews for Tuesday's episode, Chancellor Connor Floyd will hear Nick Newman's, Joshua Morrow, explanation regarding Sharon's abduction. Like Nick, Chance wants to do everything in his power to get Sharon home safely. Can they work together to make this happen? Nick probably thinks Ian is responsible for Sharon's disappearance, but is there currently any way to confirm this? Finally, it appears that Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinle, and Chelsea Lawson, Melissa Claire Egan, will catch up and discover they have more in common than they first thought. Having Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, as an ex-partner and maternal ties to Johnny Abbott, Paxton Mishkind, are two things they have in common, so what has brought them together on Tuesday's show? Is Chelsea considering moving to the Newman Ranch for Connor Newman's, Judah Mackey's sake, or is she talking to Victoria about her conflicted feelings for Adam Newman, Mark Grossman? Victoria may be able to provide Chelsea with some knowledge regarding Connor because she did everything in her power to assist Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, on her path to mental health recovery when she first arrived in Genoa City. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Chelsea must make a difficult choice because she promised Adam that she would think about living at the ranch with him and Connor. But will she actually experience this, and what consequences will she encounter when she, Adam, and Connor are the only ones living together? Victor gave his security detail instructions to locate Ian and take him to the Newman Ranch. Victor didn't accept Ian's assertions that he had changed. Ian threatened that if something bad occurred to him, he had written a letter to the police accusing the Newmans. Michael was instructed by Victor to establish a legitimate means of reincarcerating Ian. Mariah vowed to kill Ian if he approached her family, despite Ian's entreaties to make amends. Jordan was told to kill Sharon by Ian. Jordan concealed a tide and chained Sharon in the same sewer where Sharon had killed Cameron, but she arranged an accident to make it appear as though Sharon had been driven off the road into the same river where Heather's body had been discovered. When there were no news headlines on Sharon's passing, Ian was confused. The images Sharon had of Cameron reappeared. When the police reopened the inquiry, Sharon felt she had become a liability to Heather's killer. When Nick confronted Ian, Ian made fun of him by saying that Nick was his alibi when Sharon vanished. At Crimson Lights, a disguised Jordan ordered a special cocktail, and when Esther brought it to Jordan on the patio, Claire was startled to hear her repeat the order. Jordan fled before Claire could catch a glimpse of her. Jordan wondered whether she should take matters into her own hands after becoming frustrated with Ian's lack of support for her own goals. In order to inform Harrison about the change in their relationship status, Kyle approached Claire for assistance. Cole found it difficult to decide whether to accept Victor's offer of employment. Friends and relatives found it hard to accept that Phyllis had forgiven Sharon. Billy promised that Daniel would play a significant role in the firm if they were successful, and Phyllis committed to help him get Chancellor back. Billy showed little interest in mending the rift in his relationship with his mother, despite Chelsea's advice to attempt to see things from Jill's perspective. Billy accepted Sally's invitation to travel to Paris for employment. Damien was dubious about Nate's desire to hire him when they first met. Nate looked for explanations for Damien's frequent employment and apartment changes. Devin advised Lily and Abby to follow their gut feelings even though they were hesitant about Nate offering Damien a job. Daniel chose to stay in town with Lucy and deal with their lives without Heather rather than go on tour with Danny. Victor Newman was not a man who easily accepted defiance or deception, and his determination to ensure Ian Ward's complete downfall was no exception. After learning of Ian's return to Genoa City, Victor instructed his security team to track Ian down and escort him to the Newman ranch. Victor had no intention of allowing Ian to roam freely, potentially threatening his family or his empire. Despite Ian's assertions that he had reformed and turned over a new leaf, Victor dismissed the claims outright. To Victor, Ian was a master manipulator, incapable of genuine change. When Ian finally arrived at the ranch under heavy security, Victor confronted him directly. Ian, ever the cunning strategist, remained calm and collected as he issued a warning. He claimed to have given a letter to the police that implicated the Newman family in the event of any harm coming to him. Ian's veiled threat only fueled Victor's resolve. Enraged but calculated, Victor turned to Michael Baldwin, his trusted legal advisor, demanding that Michael find a legal way to put Ian back in prison. Victor refused to allow Ian any opportunity to worm his way back into a position of power or influence. Meanwhile, Mariah Copeland, Victor's granddaughter and one of Ian's former victims, had her own encounter with Ian. Ian approached Mariah under the pretense of wanting to make amends for his past actions, but she saw through his facade. Her anger boiled over, and she warned Ian in no uncertain terms to stay away from her family. She went as far as to threaten his life if he dared to endanger them again. Ian's attempt to manipulate Mariah failed miserably, leaving him to refocus his efforts elsewhere. Ian's sinister plans took a darker turn when he instructed his accomplice, Jordan, to kill Sharon Newman. Ian viewed Sharon as a liability, someone who could potentially unravel his carefully laid schemes. Jordan staged what appeared to be a tragic accident, attempting to make it look like Sharon had been run off the road and into the same river where Heather's body had been discovered. However, instead of carrying out the murder as instructed, Jordan secretly stashed Sharon, handcuffed and chained, in a sewer, the very same one where Sharon had previously killed Cameron Kirsten in self-defense. Despite Ian's anticipation of Sharon's death making headlines, he grew perplexed when no such reports emerged. Sharon, though physically captive, began experiencing haunting visions of Cameron. The psychological strain triggered by her captivity and resurfaced memories of her past actions left her determined to survive. As the police reopened their investigation into Heather's death, Sharon realized that she had become a liability to the true killer, further intensifying her resolve to escape. Back at Crimson Lights, Nick Newman, Sharon's ex-husband, confronted Ian about Sharon's sudden disappearance. Ian, always one step ahead, taunted Nick by pointing out that Nick's own actions provided him with an alibi for the time of Sharon's disappearance. The implication left Nick both furious and desperate to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, Jordan, disguised to avoid recognition, placed a unique drink order at Crimson Lights. Claire, who overheard Esther Valentine repeating the unusual order as she delivered it to the patio, felt a chill run down her spine. Before Claire could connect the dots, Jordan hastily left the scene, her actions raising more questions than answers. Frustrated with Ian's inability to assist her in advancing her personal agenda, Jordan began to contemplate whether she should take matters into her own hands. Her growing dissatisfaction with Ian's leadership planted the seeds of rebellion. Meanwhile, Kyle Abbott sought Claire's help in preparing to explain to his son, Harrison, the changes in their family dynamics. Kyle's struggle to balance his personal and professional life added another layer of tension to an already chaotic situation. Elsewhere, Cole Howard faced a difficult decision regarding Victor's offer to join Newman Enterprises. Torn between loyalty to his principles and the tempting prospect of working alongside one of the most powerful men in Genoa City, Cole wrestled with his choice. Phyllis Summers, known for her fiery temperament, surprised everyone by claiming she had let go of her anger toward Sharon. However, her friends and family were skeptical, suspecting that her newfound composure was merely a facade. Phyllis's strategic mind came into play when she struck a deal with Billy Abbott. She agreed to help him regain control of Chancellor Industries, but only if he guaranteed a significant role for her son, Daniel, in the company once their plan succeeded. Billy, who had no intention of mending his fractured relationship with his mother, Jill Abbott, found himself at odds with Chelsea Lawson. Chelsea urged Billy to see things from Jill's perspective, but Billy's stubbornness left no room for reconciliation. Meanwhile, Sally Spectra invited Billy to join her on a work trip to Paris, offering him a chance to escape the mounting pressures at home. As Billy weighed his options, Nate Hastings found himself entangled in a different web of intrigue. Nate's interest in hiring Damien, a newcomer with a questionable background, raised suspicions. Lily Winters and Abby Newman expressed reservations about Damien's erratic job history and frequent moves, but Devin Hamilton urged them to trust Nate's instincts. Daniel Romalotti, grappling with the recent loss of Heather, made the decision to stay in Genoa City with his daughter, Lucy. While Danny Romalotti embarked on his music tour, Daniel resolved to face the challenges of building a new life for himself and his daughter. As the threads of these intertwined lives unraveled and reconnected, the residents of Genoa City braced themselves for the fallout from secrets, lies, and betrayals that threatened to alter their futures forever. Victor instructed his security team to locate Ian Ward and escort him to the Newman Ranch. Determined not to let Ian's past transgressions slide, Victor remained skeptical of Ian's claims of reform. Ian, however, issued a veiled threat, warning Victor that he'd left a letter with the police implicating the Newmans in case anything untoward happened to him. Undeterred, Victor called Michael Baldwin and tasked him with finding a legal way to put Ian back behind bars. Mariah Copeland, despite Ian's attempts to reconcile, dismissed him outright. Her contempt boiled over as she threatened to kill him if he dared approach her family. Ian, unfazed, turned his attention to Jordan, instructing her to eliminate Sharon Newman. Jordan devised a plan to stage Sharon's demise as an accident. She orchestrated a scenario where Sharon appeared to have been run off the road into the same river where Heather's body had been found. Secretly, however, Jordan captured Sharon and confined her in a sewer, the very place where Sharon had once killed Cameron Kirsten. As days passed with no news of Sharon's supposed death, Ian grew restless. Meanwhile, Sharon, trapped and disoriented, began to experience haunting visions of Cameron. Her torment deepened as she connected the dots, realizing she was now a liability to Heather's killer, especially when the police reopened their investigation into Heather's death. Sharon's disappearance also drew the attention of Nick Newman. He confronted Ian, who smugly claimed that Nick's presence during the time of Sharon's disappearance served as his alibi. Meanwhile, Jordan's activities raised suspicions at Crimson Lights. Disguised, she ordered a unique drink, catching the attention of Claire. Claire's unease heightened when Esther repeated the order while delivering it to Jordan on the patio. Jordan quickly fled before Claire could identify her. Frustrated with Ian's failure to assist her with her own agenda, Jordan began to question whether she should handle matters independently. Elsewhere, Kyle Abbott sought advice from Claire on how to explain the changes in his relationship status to Harrison. Struggling with his own dilemma, Cole Howard debated whether to accept Victor's job offer. Meanwhile, Phyllis Summers' behavior raised eyebrows among her friends and family. They found it difficult to believe that she truly let go of her animosity toward Sharon. Phyllis, however, proposed a partnership with Billy Abbott, offering to help him regain control of Chancellor Industries if he promised to make her son Daniel a pivotal figure in the company once they succeeded. Chelsea Lawson advised Billy to consider Jill's perspective, but Billy was uninterested in mending fences with his estranged mother. Sally Spectra extended an invitation to Billy, asking him to join her on a work trip to Paris. Nate Hastings, on the other hand, had a different mission. He met with Damien, whose constant moves between jobs and residences had raised red flags. Nate subtly probed Damien for answers, sparking concern from Lily Winters and Abby Newman. Both women were skeptical about Nate's decision to offer Damien a position, but Devin Hamilton encouraged them to trust Nate's judgment. Amidst all the chaos, Daniel Romalotti made a personal choice. Instead of joining his father, Danny Romalotti, on tour, Daniel decided to remain in town with his daughter Lucy. Together, they faced the challenge of rebuilding their lives without Heather, finding solace in each other as they navigated their new reality.